Neptune had a family of moons once. Triton destroyed them. Not all of them, not immediately. But over the course of millions of years, after Neptune's gravity captured Triton from the Kuiper Belt and dragged it inward, the largest moon in the system, an object just smaller than our own moon, plowed through whatever had been orbiting Neptune before it arrived. The original moons were scattered, smashed together, broken into debris. The 7 small inner moons we see today are likely what reformed from that debris, not survivors, but descendants of what was destroyed. One moon survived. Its name is Nereid, and JWST just confirmed that it may be the only intact remnant of Neptune's original satellite system. A world that has been orbiting the same planet in the same damaged orbit for over 4 billion years. "I think Nereid is the only intact survivor of this process," said Matthew Belyakov, a graduate student in planetary science at the California Institute of Technology, first author of the study published this week in Science Advances. For 77 years, since Gerard Kuiper first spotted Nereid on a photographic plate at the McDonald Observatory in 1949, astronomers have wondered where this moon came from. This week, they may finally have an answer. To understand why Nereid matters, you need to understand what happened to Neptune's moons, and why most planetary systems do not have this problem. Jupiter has 95 known moons. Saturn has 146. Uranus has 28. In each of these systems, the largest moons orbit in roughly circular paths near the planet's equatorial plane, a pattern that forms naturally when moons coalesce from the same disk of material that produced the planet itself. These are regular moons. They formed where they orbit. Their paths are orderly because their origin was orderly. Neptune should have had the same kind of system. It does not. Neptune's largest moon, Triton, orbits backward. Every other large moon in the solar system orbits in the same direction as its planet's rotation. Triton does the opposite, retrograde, tilted more than 157 degrees from Neptune's equator. This orbit is not possible for a moon that formed in place. Triton was captured. The leading hypothesis, supported by decades of modeling, is that Triton was originally a Kuiper Belt object, a frozen body orbiting the Sun in the outer solar system, possibly part of a binary pair. A close encounter with Neptune separated Triton from its companion and pulled it into orbit. But capture orbits are not gentle. Triton's initial path would have been highly elongated, stretching far out from Neptune and then diving back inward, passing through the orbital region where Neptune's original moons were quietly circling. To understand the scale of the disruption, Triton is 2,706 kilometers across, roughly 78% the diameter of our own moon. Neptune's original moons were likely much smaller, comparable in size to the regular moons of Uranus. Against Triton, they had no chance. The collisions would have been catastrophic, not all at once. Over millions of years, each time Triton swept through the inner system on its elongated orbit, it would have gravitationally perturbed the smaller moons. Some were flung into Neptune. Some were flung out of the system entirely. Some were knocked into crossing orbits with each other and collided. The debris from those collisions eventually settled into a thin ring of material around Neptune, from which the 7 small inner moons we see today gradually reform. This is not speculation. The 7 inner moons, Naiad, Thalassa, Despina, Galatea, Larissa, Hippocamp, and Proteus, were all discovered by Voyager 2 during its flyby on August 25, 1989. All orbit in nearly circular prograde paths close to Neptune's equatorial plane. Their small sizes and regular orbits are consistent with reaccretion from a debris disk, not with primordial formation. They are not survivors. They are what came after. Voyager 2's encounter with Neptune lasted hours. The spacecraft passed within 4,950 kilometers of Neptune's cloud tops, the closest approach to any planet during the entire Voyager mission. In those hours, it discovered 6 new moons, confirmed the existence of Neptune's ring system, measured Triton's surface temperature at -235 degrees Celsius, and photographed nitrogen geysers erupting from Triton's frozen surface. It also photographed Nereid, briefly, from a distance of 4.7 million kilometers. The images showed a faint, unresolved point of light. No surface features, no shape, no rotation period, just a dot, orbiting Neptune in the strangest path of any moon in the solar system, raising more questions than Voyager had time to answer. That was 37 years ago. No spacecraft has returned since. Nereid was classified for decades as another captured object. Its orbit seemed to demand it. The orbit is extreme. Nereid's eccentricity is 0.749, meaning its distance from Neptune varies by a factor of 7 during every orbit. At closest approach, it passes within 1.35 million kilometers of the planet. At its farthest, it recedes to 9.62 million kilometers. One full orbit takes 360 days, almost exactly one Earth year. No other moon in the solar system follows a path this elongated. It is the kind of orbit associated with captured objects, bodies whose trajectories were never fully circularized by the planet's gravity. For decades, that was the assumption. Nereid was captured from the Kuiper Belt. Its odd orbit was evidence of external origin. Case closed. Except the composition did not match. Earlier spectral studies had noted that Nereid's surface, a mixture of water ice and spectrally neutral material, did not resemble the surfaces of known Kuiper Belt objects. Centaurs like Pholus, Chiron, and Chariklo have distinctly different spectra. Nereid looked more like the moons of Uranus, Titania, and Umbriel than like anything from the outer solar system. That was a clue. But ground-based data lacked the precision to make a definitive case. JWST changed that. The JWST observations, led by Belyakov and colleagues at Caltech, measured Nereid's near-infrared spectrum with a level of detail that ground-based telescopes and Voyager 2's brief flyby in 1989 could never achieve. The results were clear. Nereid's composition is inconsistent with Kuiper Belt objects. The spectral signature does not match the population of captured irregular satellites. It is consistent with an origin inside the Neptunian system itself. Nereid is not a captured intruder. It appears to be a native, a moon that formed around Neptune from the same disk of material that built the planet's original satellite system, roughly 4.5 billion years ago. The question becomes, how did it survive? The answer is in the orbit. Computer simulations run by the team modeled what happens when a Triton-sized body is captured into an elongated orbit around Neptune and begins interacting with a pre-existing moon system. The simulations show that moons in the inner regions are rapidly destabilized. Their orbits intersect Triton's path, collisions occur, and the system is destroyed within a few million years. But a moon orbiting farther out, at the edge of the system, where the gravitational perturbation from Triton is weaker, has a chance of being flung outward rather than inward. Instead of colliding with Triton or with other moons, it is ejected into a wide, highly eccentric orbit that carries it far from the destruction zone. That is what appears to have happened to Nereid. It did not survive by being strong enough to withstand the collisions. It survived by being thrown clear of them. Its extreme orbit, the most elongated of any moon in the solar system, is not evidence of capture. It is evidence of escape. The eccentricity is a scar, a record of the moment Nereid was flung from its original circular orbit into the damaged trajectory it still follows, 4 billion years later. We've long known there's something special about Neptune's collection of moons, having been severely disrupted by the arrival of Triton and other satellites captured by Neptune's gravity over the years, wrote Lee Fletcher, a planetary scientist at the University of Leicester who was not involved in the study. Given those destructive processes, I don't think we expected to see anything left of Neptune's original satellite system, other than rubble and debris. JWST data suggests otherwise. Nereid is roughly 210 miles across, about the size of a mid-sized asteroid, small by Moon standards. It is so faint that even the largest Earth-based telescopes struggle to observe it in detail. It has been visited by one spacecraft, Voyager 2, which flew past in 1989 and obtained only limited data. No large brightness variations, no resolved surface features, no rotation period determined. For most of its history as a known object, Nereid has been a footnote, a strange moon with a strange orbit, poorly understood, rarely studied, overshadowed by Triton. This week's paper changes that. Nereid is no longer a footnote. It is a forensic witness, the only object that carries in its composition and its orbit a direct record of what Neptune's system was before Triton arrived. It takes a long time to do science, Belyakov said. JWST has a finite lifetime. If we're not funding scientists to research during James Webb's lifetime, then maybe in decades to come, we won't have the data that we would have had otherwise. So this study would not have been possible at any other point other than now. There is a broader implication that extends beyond Neptune. Satellite capture, the process by which a planet gravitationally seizes an object that formed elsewhere, is believed to have occurred throughout the solar system. Jupiter's irregular moons are likely captured objects. Saturn's moon Phoebe may be a captured Kuiper Belt body. The process is not unique to Neptune, but the scale of what happened at Neptune appears to be unique. No other planet lost its entire original satellite system to a single capture event. No other planet has a moon as large as Triton orbiting backward. And no other planet has a moon like Nereid, a primordial object carrying the orbital scar of a catastrophe that reshaped an entire planetary system. If Nereid had been slightly closer to Neptune when Triton arrived, it would have been destroyed. If it had been slightly farther, it might have been ejected from the system entirely and would now be drifting, undetected, through the outer solar system. It was at exactly the right distance to be thrown into a damaged orbit, too far to collide, too close to escape. And it has remained there, intact, ever since. Here is what the data confirms. JWST near-infrared spectroscopy shows that Nereid's composition is inconsistent with Kuiper Belt objects and consistent with formation within the Neptunian system. Computer simulations demonstrate that a primordial moon at Nereid's approximate distance could survive Triton's capture by being ejected into a highly eccentric orbit. The study was published in Science Advances on May 20th, 2026. Here is what the data does not yet confirm: what Neptune's original satellite system looked like before Triton arrived. How many primordial moons existed? Whether Halimede, a smaller irregular moon of Neptune with a similar gray neutral color, is a fragment of Nereid broken off during a subsequent collision. What Nereid's internal structure looks like. Whether a future mission to the Neptune system could provide definitive proof. Neptune has been visited once, in 1989, for a few hours. Since then, every observation has been made from billions of miles away, through ground-based telescopes, through Hubble, and now through JWST. Everything we know about Nereid comes from light. Reflected sunlight, filtered through instruments, interpreted across a distance so vast that the data takes hours to arrive. And yet the light was enough to tell us this moon was there from the beginning. It watched the destruction happen. It was thrown clear of it. And it is still orbiting 4 billion years later in the damaged path that saved it. Long before anyone existed to study Neptune's moons, the evidence of what happened was already there, written into an orbit so elongated it could not have been produced by anything other than catastrophe. Nereid has been carrying that evidence since before Earth had oceans. We are only now learning to read it.